Hey folks, welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. Hope everyone's doing well, and if you're watching the boxing, and of course I mean the undercard to the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world at Wembley Stadium, hopefully you're enjoying the card. We've just finished watching the Daniel Lapin Louis Edmonson light heavyweight match, and as the judges have decreed, Daniel Lapin won by majority decision with a score of 95-95, which is a draw, and then 96-94, so what's that, 2 rounds, to Daniel Lapin. And I have to say, I thought it would be the other way round. I'm not saying robbery. No, of course not. It was a close fight. A scrappy fight. The much smaller, shorter Brit Commonwealth champion, I believe, did a lot of the jumping in to try and close the distance. Lapin did not get off to a good start. I would say that Edmonson did all his good work in the early and middle part of the rounds. A little bit difficult to watch. Not a pretty fight. The styles of these two guys never really sort of gelled. The most exciting part of the fight came in the 8th round. And I thought I was watching Ben Whittaker as Lapin, who, like I say, he's 6'6", if you can believe it, or 6'5". He's a tall string bean of a fellow. He went over the top rope. And at one point, he was like teeter-totting on the top rope, and his right arm was curled in under him, and it was shades of Ben Whittaker, but unlike Whittaker, who vaulted out of the ring, Lapin was desperate not to go out of the ring. He was balancing, and his arm was all caught and twisted, and it looked hideous, actually. And he was complaining about his arm, and he was complaining about being tapped on the back of the head, and on the 8th round, I have to say, I didn't think that Lapin was going to continue. But he dug deep, and he had, in the 9th round and the 10th round, the best 2 rounds of his night. Which, when you dig deep and you finish well like that, after you've been tested, all that great credit to you, right? But the Brit really carried on doing what he was doing, and I figured after the end of the fight, and you could see that the Brits' corner were all celebratory. They lifted their fighter up in the air, and the Ukrainian corner, was a little bit sort of, I won't say down in the mouth, but they were much more sort of subdued. And of course, the DAZN commentary, which is always hideously biased to the fighter they like, kind of has to be ignored. So I was trying not to sort of pay attention to what they were saying, because what's his name, the guy who came over from Sky, Adam Smith, I guess. He was saying that there was no way that the Brit had lost, and I did tend to agree, but not so sort of vehemently as the commentary team did. So I was keenly waiting for the judges to announce. And when it was 95-95, I thought, we might see a draw here, or it could go either way. And they came down on the side of Lapin. Now, it wasn't a popular decision. I'm not talking about the commentating team, because they're going to favour the Queensberry fighter, right? But just the general sort of crowd, you could hear a little bit of the noise. I think that most people thought that Edmonson had done enough to win, but Lapin got the decision, and you can't really complain. Just because I saw it another way doesn't mean that another fan would have seen it a different way. So no arguments, really. I don't profess to be anywhere near sort of technically qualified to be able to sort of, do the high level scoring. I just use, my eyeballs and sort of, figure out who I thought was the best on the night. And I thought that the Brit had done just enough. But like I say, I'd never try and arm wrestle somebody over it. Anyways, at the end of the piece now, we've got, I guess if we're using the football analogy, we've got 1-1 in the UK v Ukraine tournament. Now we've got coming to the ring, I guess, next will be Lawrence Okoli and Kevin Lerena. And then we've got the big match, of course, Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois. So that's all from me for the moment. I'll see you at the end of the next fight. Enjoy if you're watching, and please like, share, and subscribe. Cheers. Bye-bye.